Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here to introduce this course and this mini course and class combo mashup that I've put together for you. I'm happy to introduce it. I want to set some expectations about this course, introduce some of the content and ideas to you, and then explain some of the other things that are in the course along the way. I want this little presentation to be super casual, as if we're just chatting. Um, so this is only like my second take recording this intro. Like I said, I just want it to be fun and casual. So sit back, put your feet up, and like just have a conversation with me real quick so we can go over everything. So, like I said, this is a welcome, and I want to set the expectations for what this mini course is and what it isn't. If you have heard about this and seen me talk about it on social media, you've heard me say that this is like a class and a mini course combo. And I still haven't fully figured out what to even call this because this whole thing started when I started teaching some big online classes a few months ago at the beginning of 2023. I started teaching some online classes, and there was just so much that I wanted to cover in a 2.5 hour Zoom class that I felt like I was not fully explaining everything in the way that I would want to explain everything. I am a talker, I'm an elaborator, so I want to fully talk about the details of things. And I felt like my classes just weren't fully detailed enough for me, for my liking. I got really good feedback from a lot of the students who were like, "Oh my gosh, this was so great. Thank you so much." And so like I know that a lot of that conflicting feeling is just me feeling like I should do more, I should do better. But I started to think, well, maybe I should put together like a little online portal of like extra resources and stuff for people who take the class to be able to reference back to, like, what was that thing she was talking about, or what was that link that she mentioned in the recording, instead of having to sit back through the whole recording of a 2.5 or 3 hour class. They could just have a little portal. So that's kind of how this whole thing got started. I went through Teachery. Teachery.com is like a course class hosting website where you can build a whole course, and there's it's very user friendly. It's really cool to go in there and like just see all of the tools that they have for the instructor, for me to create. I can do articles and videos and audio recording. Like, it's so cool. So I registered through Teachery, and this is my first ever Teachery creation. This specific presentation will be uploaded into Teachery. This is where it will live. If you're seeing this on YouTube or on the website, welcome. This exact video is going into Teachery, and if you're in Teachery, this is the exact video that lives other places on the internet. The Teachery course is really cool. I have tons of extra resources, links, and videos, and examples, and articles, and lessons that I've made and typed up. And so it turned into more than just a little portal for people to reference back to. It turned into a whole, oh my gosh, I'm pouring out all of this information that I know into this little portal thing, and it's no longer little, it's a big thing. So this is like a mini course, or maybe I should just be calling it an actual course, but I don't know. I don't know. I haven't figured out what exactly I want to call it. So you've probably heard me refer to it as a course, a mini course, a class combo. That's just me being indecisive on like what I want to call it. But basically, this is a mini online course with lessons, with an additional live Zoom class that is coming up on July 21st. It is currently, July 13th when I'm recording this. This video will be in the Teachery course. And if you're watching this after July 21st, like this, the whole class, the whole Zoom recording class that was on July 21st is uploaded in the course. So there's a whole course with lessons, and then there's a whole live class element. You might not necessarily care about the live class element, and that's okay. It basically goes hand in hand with what the entire course is about. It'll cover lessons. We'll have some online activities that I'm going to show you. We're going to have a couple of hands on activities that you can do if you'd like. And so it really does go hand in hand with the information that is living in the course. If you are listening to this or you have just bought or purchased this Teachery course, you can go watch the recording. The replay of the July 21st class lives in Teachery. It's at the very bottom at the Zoom link information, the Zoom recording. It's there and it'll live there forever. So you will always have access to the recorded class in addition to all of the lessons. So getting more into what this course actually is, um, it's supposed to be helpful. This is supposed to help you understand and utilize color in new ways that you might not have ever thought about before. This is supposed to deepen your understanding of how colors work together. If you already know basic color theory, maybe you took a graphic design class in college, or maybe you took an art class in high school or something, you might have some basic color information and some color knowledge. This is supposed to grow on that a little bit. However, I also have some basics for those of you who are completely new to this area, to this topic of material. Like maybe you've never looked at a color wheel or no one has ever talked about color theory with you. That's okay. I'm here to explain that. So I wanted it to be beneficial to both like very newbies and then like semi newbies. Okay. So little bit of both kinds of content here, learning styles here, basics, and then a little bit more advanced stuff, but not too advanced. This course is not specifically meant for color professionals who are looking to add more to their art or more to their academic study of color. Like this is more of the fundamentals and the colors, the color basics, and putting it all into practice through your wood art. This mini course is catered towards wood artists in some of the what's the word? What's the freaking the lessons? It's catered towards wood artists in some of the lessons because some of what I have to say about color is what I have learned with my own art, which is pyrography mixed media. It's wood burning and mixed media, color medias on wood. And I have learned a lot about using color in addition to the wood, how to pick colors that like specifically complement the color of your wood canvas. I have analyzed how different wood species look with different kinds of art, with different color palettes or different like there's just a whole world of it. So some of these lessons are specifically about that, about the wood, but a lot of the other lessons aren't specifically about wood. They are again going back to like the color basics, color fundamentals, and kind of growing on your understanding. Wood artists definitely benefit from this course because of the specific wood heavy lessons. But if you're not a wood artist, you can still benefit from this in a lot of different ways. And I really hope that this does bring a lot of understanding to the fundamentals of color and help you see how you can use color in so many different ways. You can start analyzing it in new ways and looking at the world through this different lens and understanding the colors around you. Because really, like, our whole human existence ties into color, and it's really cool. So anyway, that's part of the deeper understanding and utilizing color. This is supposed to be a solid foundation with fundamentals. Like I said, this is not necessarily for the seasoned professional who is looking for more advanced stuff. This is foundational foundational fundamentals. This is meant to be easy to understand. I have done a lot of extra research to bring this course to you and to bring this class to you. And so there's a lot of advanced stuff that I have learned that I was like, whoa, that makes things so much more complicated. And I have left a lot of that out to be easy to understand for the newbie like the baby newbie or even the mini newbie or the semi-seasoned newbie. It's supposed to be easy to understand. I'm not here to confuse you. I don't want this to be confusing. If you find that you are confused about something, please reach out. Send me a email, ask a question in the ask a questions box, request a resource from me. You can do that at the request a resource link. And I want to help you understand this in the best way possible. I have created this course in a way that I think helps a lot of people and is very easy to understand. But I understand that not everybody learns the same way I do. Maybe you need some more visuals or you want a different explanation for something. Like, I am here to bring that to you. So please let me know. I want this to be easy to understand and I want you to feel more confident in your color understanding than confused. If you walk away more confused than you started, then I feel like I have done something horribly wrong. So please let me know. I want this to be an open communication avenue. My DMs are always open on all of my socials. And again, the ask a questions, request a resource, send me an email, all of that is available to you at any time. This mini course is structured with hands-on learning. So I did not want this to just be like a lecture of me teaching topics. I wanted this to be very hands-on. There are some lessons that are purely reading and that you should kind of retain some of that information to be able to think back on in some of the future lessons. But it's not just retaining information. There's definitely a hands on learning aspect to this course, and I want you to take advantage of it. Even if you think you are understanding one of the exercises and you're like, oh, I don't want to make a color wheel, or I don't want to mix my colors, or nah, I'm not going to play with those websites. Please do, because you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at the things that you thought you knew that you just learned something new about, or you'll be like mind blown to see how that thing works. Or maybe like you think you know how to make a color wheel, for example, but then you go to make one and it's totally different than what you expected. Anything like that. So I definitely want you to take advantage of the hands-on learning experiences, the exercises, even if they seem rudimentary, even if they seem super simple, do them. And if you're feeling ambitious like I was, do them multiple times with multiple things. For example, there is an exercise in this course, one of the very, very basic ones at the very beginning, and it's mixing your colors. It's taking your primary colors of red, yellow, and blue, mixing them together to get your orange, green, and purples, and then mixing one of the primaries and one of the secondaries to get your tertiaries. I did that example in vivid watercolors, handmade watercolors, and colored pencils. So I did that same activity three different times with three different medias. And I thought that it was super helpful because all three of them worked in different ways. So you can definitely do this with your colored pencils, your paints, your watercolors, your acrylics, your gouache. Um, Sorry, I'm going to put my phone on a do not disturb. So I want you to really experiment with it, try the different exercises, get some experience, go back and repeat them too if you feel like maybe you didn't fully understand it, or maybe it was just like super satisfying to see all the rainbow colors next to each other and you want to do it again. Like whatever it is, I highly encourage you do that. And then finally, this course is based on my own understanding of color. So I'm a self-taught artist. I did not go to art school. I did not get a degree in art. I didn't even necessarily take a ton of art classes. I took art in grade school. I took graphic design in high school, just graphic design one. I took art one my senior year of high school. That was literally 10 years ago. My 10-year reunion is coming up this fall. So literally, I took art one 10 years ago. And then in college, I took an art history class twice, actually. I took it twice because the first time I took it, I was actually just a sit in member of the class because I was working with the Office of Disability Services at the time, and I was a note taker for a couple of visually impaired students who needed a note taker service. And that was my job through college. I was a note taker for the Office of Disabilities. So I sat in on that class, the first time just taking notes, basically getting paid to sit in somebody else's class. And then I loved it so much. I loved that professor that I then took it again the next semester for my own credit because I needed an art credit. So that's it. That's the extent of my art. I have always loved art. I have always been a very expressive and creative person. I have always loved rainbows and rainbow colors and bright, vibrant colors. Like Lisa Frank from the 90s, that was my jam. Like hippy dippy rainbow flowers and smiley faces and unicorn hair. Like that was me. Rainbows were my thing. And to this day, I'm like anything colorful, 10 out of 10. Immediately love. My whole house is colorful. I don't have a boring house. I have a very eccentric, colorful house. There's colors everywhere. So this is my world. I have come to understand color in different ways. I have come to understand color through my own experience and love of art. And then being a self-taught artist, actually getting to make and sell my own fine pyrography art. I have learned how to use colors in actual application, in actually mixing colors for my artwork, and seeing how the color of wood affects the colors of my paints. So there's been a lot of exploration and trial and error over the last few years since I've really dived deep in doven, doven, dived, dove deep into my own pyrography art world. And it is now a key element of my art. It's part of my style. I rarely do wood burning art without also adding color. I have also taught a color media class um, through an online wood burning like retreat summit. It was an online week long set of courses that were put together by a leader, an instructor in the wood burning industry. She put together this really awesome, elaborate, free online thing for anyone across the world. It had thousands and thousands of students in it, and I was one of the instructors on color in that class. Um in the live chat in that class, a lot of the students were typing in the YouTube comments during the live like, oh my gosh, y'all are the color queens, like yes, Renee, color queen. And that kind of cemented my own personal belief that like I'm really good at color. So now I just kind of joke about it that people call me the color queen, even though I'm not royalty, right? Like I'm just a girl who learned how to do art and I really like color. But people view the knowledge that I have and the understanding that I have as being really valuable. So I'm really happy to be able to kind of go off of that. It was kind of like a supportive moment for me. I was like, wow, people really love what I'm teaching, and like I should give myself some more credit. Like I do know what I'm talking about, and other people do too. So that's kind of how I got started into the whole online teaching thing. Was just voluntarily teaching this color class for wood artists, and that kind of kicked off the rest of my teaching endeavors. So now I am doing it on my own. I am doing much more specific topics and things like that. This is my first, my own color theory class for artists. So that's what this is. It's completely based off of my own knowledge, my own understandings. And then there are also basic internet free resources and articles and websites linked throughout this course that I found during some of my own research, good, like really good articles and stuff that I thought you would really benefit from too. So I've linked them in here, things that I really liked. I can personally vouch for any of these articles and website links because I clicked them, I read them, I used them, and I thought that they would be really helpful. For whatever reason, maybe it had really good graphics, or maybe that one website worded it really cool, or whatever it is. So I highly recommend you check out a lot of the resources that I have attached to the lessons and in the resource database at the bottom of this course. Um, I feel like it's really helpful, and so that's why I included them. So now that we've gone over what this course is, I want to talk about what this mini course isn't. But I need a drink because I've been talking for 20 minutes. So let's go over What this course isn't. This course, excuse me, this course is not a fully comprehensive color course. There is so much more beyond what I could cover in this course at a basic level. Things that get way more in depth, things that are way more advanced, things that are really scientific y, things that are very like just not what I wanted this course to be about. Things that are about color, of course, but it's just like way more information than I thought could be helpful in this course for beginners or newbies or basic artists who are looking for more of an understanding. So this is not a comprehensive A to Z. There's a lot, but it's not everything. Okay. This is not a science class. There is some science behind it. There's some psychology behind color that I talk about and I touch on. And there's some history that we'll talk about and touch on, but this is not a science class about color theory or a history of color theory class. This class is also not the end all be all of color information. So I don't want you to stop your learning here just because I taught it, so therefore I must know everything, right? Like this is not the end all be all. There is so much more out there that I want you to explore. I want you to Google. I want you to watch YouTube videos. I want you to definitely dive into the things and the topics within color that interest you. Don't just take my word for it. Like, if you don't understand something, I definitely recommend you pull up Google and type in your question and see what comes up. What resources can you find? What YouTube videos can you find that answer your question? Or if I say something and you're like, well, why? Why is that? Or, I do want to know more about the science of color theory. I want to know more about Isaac Newton and his color prisms. Like, if that's what you're looking for, definitely go look it up because this is not the end all be all, and the information does not stop in this course. Um, Kind of like what I just said, this is not where your learning should end. This, in a very cheesy way, I want this to be like the opening into a whole new world, right? Like, I want this to not be where your learning ends. Like, I want this to open your eyes to new possibilities and new activities and new things that you never thought of before, or you never realized that's how that was, or whatever. I want this to be a segue into your own personal journey with color and learning color and using color and all of that. This is also, oh, I kind of already touched on this one. This is not just a learning lecture. This is hands on under the what this mini course is. It's hands on. This is not just a lecture. This is not just a series of videos of me blabbing at you and talking and like, go figure it out on your own, read chapter 3 and report back, right? Like, this is not that. This is a very in depth with multiple avenues of learning, I guess you could say, because there are videos, there's visual content for people who like visual things, there's auditory things that you can listen to for people who like auditory, and then there's like hands on for people who learn the best doing hands on activities. So I kind of have a mix of all three. It's not just a lecture. And then finally, this is not meant to overwhelm you. Kind of like what I said in the what this mini course is section. This is not meant to confuse you. This is supposed to be easy to understand. So if you are realizing that you're feeling very overwhelmed or like, oh, now I have so many more questions, like, I'm confused. If that's you at any point in time, please reach out. I haven't quite decided if I want to start a Facebook group yet for students of this course or students of any of my learning and make like a learning hub on social media. I'm not quite sure. If you're watching this after months later, months from now, that course or that group or not course, that group or that online like social media content like that might exist. So if it does, if I do create like a Facebook group or something for students of this course, I will link it in in this online course. So if you're not seeing it anywhere in here, then it doesn't exist yet. But if it is, definitely go to the group and like ask your questions and put it out there. If it doesn't exist yet, ask me. You are not going to offend me if you're like, hey, can you explain this in a different way? Or, hey, what you just said doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain it again? Or, hey, I really would love more information on this specific aspect of it. Can you explain that? Or can you make a video on that? Please let me know. I want this to not overwhelm you. I want this to be as simple and easy to understand as possible. Of course, it means there's going to be some work that you have to do on your end to understand the material, put the material into action, do the exercises, and like really get an understanding for these things. Um, and once you do that, a lot of the things that you do have questions about will probably be answered once you actually start to see how things work. But that doesn't matter. I still want you to reach out, email me, do the ask a question button, slide into my DMs on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it might be, and ask your questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. That's something that I say all the time. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you have a question, odds are 10 other people have that same question but aren't going to ask. So ask your question. The main philosophy, the main philosophy that I have, the ask your question, like I believe there's no stupid question, kind of segues into my one philosophy. Because I believe there is no stupid question. Well, I also believe that there is no right or wrong. Okay, so those are my two like big beliefs that I have about the world. There's no stupid question, and there is no right or wrong. So, as we're going throughout this color course, I want you to feel like you are valid. I want you to know that your opinion is valid, your experience is valid. Just because I say this is how I would do it doesn't mean that that's the right way. So if you're doing something, sorry, I'm gonna readjust. If you're doing something and you like the way it looks, let's say you are kind of playing with your color style and you find that you really like neutrals, for example, and you like to use neutrals and you think neutrals look really good. Well, I'm a bright, happy, bright color, bold color, high contrast color. So I might say, I think bright colors look the best in this situation. But you might be like, but Renee, I really like these neutrals. That's fine. There is no right or wrong. I am not right and you are not wrong. You are not right and I am not wrong. It's just different opinion and different preferences. You like neutrals. I like bright and bolds. Learning is subjective. So everything is meant to be taken with a grain of salt because you have your own personality. Like you're a human. You have what you like and what you don't like. If you don't like bright colors, then you don't have to use them. Um, I will rarely use neutrals because that's just not my style. That doesn't mean I'm right and that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt. There is no right or wrong pretty much ever unless it comes down to like your moral compass, right? Like that's the level of right or wrong that like I will side on one way or the other. But when it comes to opinion or learning, like there is no right or wrong. I definitely think learning is gray. I am not a it's black or white kind of person. It's not this way or that way. No, there's a whole spectrum of gray that is open to opinion, that's open to understanding and explanation. Like it's completely personal. So take that with a grain of salt. There is no right or wrong. I encourage you to explore, try, play, experiment, test, test again, experiment again, do it another way, try it again. Like I definitely recommend and want you to explore the color, the experience, not the experiences, the exercises as much as possible, as many times as you want. Kind of like what I was saying earlier with the mixing the color exercise. I did that with color pencil, um, what's the word? Vivid watercolors and the metallic watercolors. I also did it in gouaches on a big piece of wood that I did not upload into that segment. That whole thing is uploaded somewhere else. at least probably if I get a picture of it. But like do it multiple times, try it with different medias, try those acrylics, try those gouaches. And here's something, might be a little challenging for you, but if you feel hesitation towards something, or if something is like intimidating to you, lean into it. Take it as a challenge and be like, you know what? That box of gouache paints that's been sitting there for 3 years that I have not touched, I'm gonna bust those bad boys open. Do it. Yes, that is such a win. Do it, do it, do it. That is so cool. Definitely play with the things that you've never done before. Play with the medias that you've always wanted to try, but you just haven't. If you are like, oh man, I've always wanted to try those watercolors, get some. Do it. Spend a little bit of money, get yourself whatever that media might be, and play with it. Try it, because you are not going to learn or grow unless you explore. That's just how it is. Like, we have to explore things and try new things in order to learn from them, in order to grow our understanding. There's a quote. I don't know if it's like from someone or like a famous quote, but there's a saying that if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you don't change anything, if you don't try anything, how can you expect to get a different result? You have to change things. You have to learn, you have to try, you have to experiment, you have to play, whether that's learning guitar, taking saxophone lessons, taking like aerobic water lessons for like, little old lady water groups, they're doing aerobics. Like, you can do that too. You don't have to be a little old lady in order to enjoy water aerobics. If you want to take a class, go do it. Join the Y, do the thing. Like, life is too short to not do the thing. Anyway, I could talk about that in and of itself forever, but let's move on. I just encourage you to do the exploration and experimentation part of this course. So getting into some of the specifics of what you'll learn, let's look at that real quick. You will learn how to pick colors. I have keep saying experiments. Exercises. I have exercises that will show you how to pick colors. You have this idea for a bumblebee and a flower. Let's pick your color palette, because I guarantee you there's more than just a pink flower and a yellow bumblebee. We can really dive into that and pick a really cool color scheme that matches your color style, that complements the way you like to do art. So if you're like I like the bright colors, you might want more of the neutrals, like a neutral bumblebee scene in your wood art. That's fine. I'm gonna teach you how to do that. You're going to learn that there are a bunch of different ways to make a color palette. There are online resources, there are actual like book resources, and then there's just like the general knowledge of analyzing color. So we're gonna look at how to make different color palettes with multiple ways of doing so. Through this, you will start to learn what your own color style is. Like, going back to the example, my style is bright, vibrant, high contrast colors. Yours might be neutral, but you might not know what your color style is. You might just do what you see a lot of other people do, or maybe you are a trend hopper, and so you will do whatever the trend might be at the time. So I definitely want this to help you find your own color style and your own voice within the color world. You are also going to learn specifically, going back to the beginning, these are the wood specific lessons. You're going to learn how the wood affects color and the way that you see them based on the color of the wood canvas. That's really cool. It gets into color psychology, which I do have here. Yep, you're going to learn basic color psychology, basic color symbolism. Take that with a grain of salt too, because color symbolism changes from culture to culture. So a lot of what I will talk about is just like basic color symbolism and understanding in the United States. But red in this country might not symbolize the same thing that it represents in this country. So if you start thinking about color symbolism, you'll realize that it changes from culture to culture. But I'm just going to go over like basic symbolism. And then you're going to, again, go over just basic color theory exercises with hands-on examples. I hope that those are helpful for you. I again encourage you to try them in multiple ways, try them over and over. You're also going to learn how other people use color in their art in real life. So I am not picking up, I am uploading a few accounts, a few artists' work where you can go check them out, and I am going to explain like what that artist is doing. There is a wood artist. She is not a pyrographer. She is a color pencil artist, and she does all of her work on wood with color pencils. And her art looks a very specific way. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just her style. That's how she makes her art and expresses her art. And it's really, really cool. You might not like the way that she does her art. Maybe you want those colors to be more vibrant, or maybe you just don't like color pencils because they're kind of translucent and they're not like thick and opaque, you know? So I am going to list and have different websites to different artists uploaded in that specific module where you can go look and start to kind of see how other people are using color specifically in their art. And we're going to talk about it. Some of the things that I hope you will gain, that you should gain from this course, hold on, another drink. Is I hope you gain color confidence. I don't want this course to overwhelm you. I don't want this to be confusing to you. I want you to feel confidence in what you're learning and use your knowledge over and over again moving forward after you take this course. And I hope that that builds your color confidence. I want you to be able to look at a color palette in a new way. I want you to have the skills to pick your own colors, to analyze a picture, a reference picture, or analyze something in real life, to look at the colors and really see what's going on, the interaction between those colors, to create your art in the way you want to. So I want you to have color confidence. I want you to know you know what you're doing, right? There's no better feeling than being confident about something. So I want you to have color confidence. I also hope that you will gain a more professional view of color. So this isn't something that I even started thinking about until about the last 6 months. Um, I'm from Pennsylvania, and here in Pennsylvania, we have a statewide organization. It's called the Pennsylvania Guild of Craftsmen, and you can register to be a member of this guild. Different sections of the states have their own chapters. And so we have a chapter that I joined. It's like $70 a year, and they do workshops and they put on like specific juried art shows and things like that. But one thing that they really focus on is growing in your own craft, in your own art. And they take things much more professionally and seriously. So when you go to apply to one of their juried art festivals or one of their juried art shows, they ask you, like, what is it about your art? They want you to have thought about your art on a much more professional, deeper level than just, I don't know, I just like making my art. Like I just thought this looked good. Like they want you to learn about your art. They want you to know. Then there's just the basic members of being a chapters, but of basic chapters. But you can also apply to be, what is it, a master artisan of your specific craft. So they have this little program within this guild. You can apply to be like a master, I think it's called a master artisan. And they basically put you before a jury and they have you explain your artwork. And basically, what they're doing is like interviewing you and testing you to see how much of your art, of your profession, you actually know. So they want to hear you explain your color process, your art process, why it is that you do what you do. Like they definitely want there to be art education. It's not that you need to have art education, they just want to hear that you are art educated. They want you to have thought deeper about your art and to be able to explain it and show that you are a master at your craft. with that comes, learning and studying and trying and experimenting. And so that looking at it in a more professional way is something that I have started to do because I applied to be a member of this guild. And then I was looking at the requirements for the master artisan thing, and I was like, whoa, these people take it really seriously. So that's something that I want you to get out of it too. I want you to know that the knowledge that you're learning is not just meh education. Like, it's not just, this might be good information to know. Like, no, this is good information to know, and this will help build your foundation. And you will be seen and be listened to as more of a professional because you actually know what you're talking about and you've taken a class on it and you've learned and you've practiced and you've studied. So that's what that is. I definitely want you to be able to look at color differently, kind of like the first one, the color confidence. Like, I would love if you were able to look at color in a whole new way and to be able to like analyze it, pick a color palette, and have the confidence in what you're doing. And like, I really want to see you as the student blossom and bloom and grow and thrive. Like, that would just be fantastic. That's the goal of what you'll gain. And then you'll gain like actual educational academic fundamentals and foundation building blocks that you can build on. You're going to have academic resources. You're going to have like academic based explanations of things. So you'll have knowledge in general. Okay, so this is a little blip that I put in at the end. A little blip that I put in at the end for extra resources. In the class portal, at the very bottom, above or by the Zoom link module, that's where this will live, there is a page that has all sorts of extra resources for you to utilize. There are websites on color theory and articles about color theory and the history of color theory and like so many things like that that I've put in there. There are a couple of interactive color wheels where you can go to that website, play with the color wheel, and it'll give you complementary colors. It'll give you color palettes. You can generate your own color palette. You can customize color palettes. You can compare color. So there's like a lot of interactive tools as well, and they're really, really cool. I have some printables. I have some downloadables. A couple of them are mine that I have made specifically for this course. They are not to be shared outside of this course because it is proprietary property of It's David and Renee LLC. And then there are some free downloadables from other external third-party resources that they have publicly available to download for free that I have just linked to because I think they're really cool. There is no information or resource or anything linked or talked about in this course that is private information or information that you have to pay for from someone else. So I have linked to some other like wood theory or color theory artists and authors that have books, and those are really useful, but I haven't taken any of the information from their book to put into this course because then it's like I paid for their knowledge and now you're paying for that knowledge too without purchasing their knowledge. So it's weird. You can get into copyright stuff like that, but everything here is copyright safe. I have not copyright infringed upon anybody. There's just free downloadables and printables that are already out there publicly available on the internet. There are links, there are recommendations, there are product recommendations for things that I use. Like, you can get the link to the exact color wheel that I have. You can get links to the paints and the products that I use along the way. And then there are books that I really like that I have bought that I'm like, oh, this is a good book. I'm going to do like a book tour in one of the modules within this course. And I'm going to flip through all of the books that I have about color theory that I really like. So you can get a little bit of a sneak peek. We can compare them really quick. You can see what they're about. And if you want to purchase any of those books, you can go for it. They're really good resources and I want to share that with you. And then just other videos and things that I have made along the way, supplements, supplementing materials, content, things like that. So, oh, and the other thing, I forgot I put this in here. At the beginning, I mentioned that there is a requests a request a resource button and an ask a question button. So I have a couple of little documents where you can click it and you can ask your question. I will see that you entered something, and that lets me know that there are people who want to know more about this topic or whatever. You can also click the request a resource button, and that will let me know. You'll be able to like type what it is that you're looking for or what you would find really helpful, and then that lets me know what I can generate for you that would answer that question or be really helpful. So use them, like take advantage of them, request your resources, like ask your questions, and let me help you further understand to the best of my ability. Yep. So that's yeah, request to read. Yes, okay. So that's it. I hope that this was just like a fun little introduction. I know we are 45 minutes into this video. I highly recommend diving in, start at the beginning, and go at your own pace. This is an interactive, independent learning course. The class, if this is before July 21st, 2023, the class is coming up on that day, July 21st, 2023, and then it will be available for you to watch the replay of the recording forever, also in this course down at the bottom underneath the Zoom information. Let me know if this was helpful. Let's start the conversation. Hop in my DMs. Let's talk about it. Let me know if you would like a Facebook support group. If at the time you're watching this video, it doesn't exist yet, let me know, because a lot of people like Facebook groups to like be able to pop in and see what everybody else is working on, but other people are like, meh, Facebook groups, like not my jam. So let me know if you have an opinion one way or another on that. I hope to see you in the class soon, coming up on July 21st. That is next, not tomorrow, next Friday, the Friday after. So that's coming up. Go ahead and get started. I am going to hop off. I'm going to keep working a little bit inside these modules, and I will see you in a bit.